What is the stupidest injury you've ever gotten? I broke my foot whilst practicing the finishing move in Karate Kid. I was 20. Edited to add, thank you for the love, peeps. I've never gotten an award before. Also, I have laughed at my idiot 20-year-old self all day, along with my husband and children. Apparently, I had never told them how I broke my foot long ago. They have been highly amused. Around 6 months ago, I was waiting for my sister on my college campus. Around the same time, I had accidentally gotten grease on my disc brakes so they weren't stopping correctly. I had the great idea to stand the bicycle on the handlebars and spin the wheel from the pedals as fast as they could go on the highest gear and then pinch the disc brakes with my thumb and index finger. This worked for a while and I got a lot of grease off until my thumb got caught in the disc brake, causing it to be partially amputated and fracture the bone. I needed 6 stitches, painkillers, and around 4.5 months for the skin to completely heal. 0-10 wouldn't recommend trying. Guy with a farm down the road, hey, can you come help bale hay tomorrow? Me at 16 with no prior bale experience, sure I'll be there. Showed up in basketball shorts, left looking like I spent 3 minutes in a broom closet with 5 cats and a vacuum cleaner I couldn't shut off. Edit, spelling. Edit 2. Wow, this blew up. So the farmer was a nice guy. He laughed when he saw me, told me what I was getting into, and asked if I wanted to change to jeans. I was only a couple minutes down the road so I could have quickly changed, but I was young and stubborn. It was hot and said number. His son around my age was also there, in jeans, and proceeded to laugh at my misfortune. It was a good time though. Great experience, and a little under the table cash was a great incentive. I've also had cats, and I've had the unfortunate experience of being next to one or holding one when my mom turned a vacuum cleaner on. That is exactly how I looked on my legs. Winter time, Friday, weekend of Super Bowl XL. I was running around high school in untied Timberlands. Friend was chasing me and I tripped and fell into a hallway door and sliced my head open. I hit the door so hard my Pokemon Blue version flew out of my back pockets along with everything else in my pants. When the janitors cleaned up the mess, they brought me back a purple cartridge. My left nut turned 180 degrees while I was sleeping and my nut didn't get any blood. It was fucking bad, man. I thought I was going to die. Had to have my balls cut open to pull my nut out and turn back around. Edit, that's called testicular torsion. Edit 2, since you guys like my suffering I will give you more detail. On a September morning 2019 I wake up for school. It is a Friday, I think the 19th. My balls are aching a little but nothing too bad. I get up and take a shower. While I'm taking the shower the pain gets way worse. I get out and dry myself quickly and then have to gag because of the pain. My mom gets alerted and comes to help me. I tell her to tell Dad she does not have a license, that I need to go to the ER. I get dressed and off we go. The roads are smooth so I didn't have the problem of going over bumpy roads. In front of the ER there is a lady on a computer. I go up to her and say it's my balls and my dad says it's probably a kidney stone because we have that in our family. I go in the room and do the ultrasound thing on my kidneys. The pain goes up from my nut and my left leg, my left arm, and I think I felt the pain in my throat too. I am naked at this point with 3 men in the room and my dad. My body is shaking, my ADHD brain is all over the place. The doctor is looking at my kidneys and has checked the right one, then it feels like he takes 20 minutes to look for the left kidney until I say my nut hurts, not my kidney. He changes to tip of the ultrasound thing to one that is pointy. And this dude, this motherfucker, he just ramps that thing in my balls, act like he wants to kill me. At that moment I remember just cold, slow pain going from my balls to the rest of my body and I black out. When I wake up I hear this noise of someone banging on the wall. When I look down it's my legs which are now uncontrollably shaking very violently. Someone is holding my legs now which makes everything worse. The dude is like, yeah, you have testicle torsion. And then they give me pain meds. I get operated. Everything is nice. I look at the damage afterward in the hospital bed and my dick just looks absolutely swollen and huge. Now what about my left kidney? Turns out it is in fact not to my left but to my center above my belly button. Not so much stupid as in my fault, but the universe was definitely laughing at me. I decided I was finally going to get serious about running. I wanted to run for exercise for a while, but I was out of shape and embarrassed. I finally mustered up the courage to go to the gym. I walked outside to let my dog go to the bathroom before I left, and a wasp stung me on the lower side of my foot, right in the arch. I was wearing sandals, even had on my workout clothes and everything. My foot was the size of a softball for a week. Edit. Wow, did not expect this to blow up. For clarification, I wasn't going to wear sandals to the gym. I just had them on to let my dog out before planning to put on actual running shoes. The wasp had other ideas. Took a golf ball to the face. We were launching it out of one of those giant water balloon launchers. I pulled back as far as I could and let go. The ball stayed in the pouch and snapped back in my face right below my right eye. We're talking maybe a half-inch from losing my eye. My zygomatic bone took it all but surprisingly nothing broke. I just sprayed a ton of blood and had a massive black eye that migrated all over my face. I was deaf in one ear for about a week because I had built the Super Pop cracker. I had taken 2 boxes of those Pops, or those paper snappers, and very carefully unwrapped each one. I emptied out the contents into a tissue paper and twisted the end to form a huge Pop. I then accidentally dropped this inside the house, right on the tiled floors at my feet, where it exploded and echoed so loudly, my left ear kept ringing and then I was deaf for days. My sister, who was 3 floors above me, even heard it. I sprained my wrist racing my sister in an indoor gym. We made the finish line about a foot from the wall, and I ran straight into the wall at full tilt. Or the time I broke my toe because I was running barefoot in the house and tripped over a dumbbell that I had left in the middle of the floor. The first one is a little dumber in and of itself, but the second one is compounded by the fact that I was a full-on adult when it happened, so I didn't have the excuse of being a dumb kid. When I was 8 or so, I turned off all the lights in my parents' room, turned a flashlight on and jumped up and down on their bed swinging the flashlight around. I wanted it to make a spotlight on their ceiling. I got way too into it and smacked myself in the face with the flashlight. I gave myself a horrible black eye. I could have fallen off the bed and been hurt way worse, but I can laugh about smacking my face with a flashlight. I was 18, just moved back to Florida after graduating high school in Iowa. I went running full speed out of this parking lot to this park in my friend's neighborhood that we were all playing zombie in so I could answer a phone call from my girlfriend in Iowa, when I suddenly tripped over this black chain. It was nighttime too, across the entrance to the park, and in a split second I was able to get my iPhone into the grass so I wouldn't damage it, but landed on my elbow and fractured my olecranon bone in your elbow that holds your tricep in place. I screamed so loud in agony that I think everyone literally thought I was gonna die. It's strange how the whole neighbors who put the chain up in the first place, even though we were playing down there and it was 8 p.m. and the park didn't technically close until 10 p.m. didn't even come out of their homes to see what was going on. Anyways, long story short, I went 2 years without getting it checked out and without being able to use my tricep in my right arm because I wasn't sure if I had insurance or Medicare or not. Once I got a solid full-time job with great benefits, I went in. They had to break the bone again, cause it healed wrong, and reattach the tricep, and I went through a month of horrendous healing and 2 months of brutal physical therapy. Oh, and that girlfriend of mine cheated on me a month after that incident happened, so there's that too lol. Good thing, though, I got married almost 2 years later to the love of my life. When I was 6, my forehead was really itchy, but it was one of those deep itches that you couldn't really scratch out, so my bright 6-year-old brain told me to get into an all-fours position and try rubbing my forehead into the carpet. Well, I did that and ended up taking a small layer of skin off that took ages to heal completely. Edit, apparently this is some kind of rite of passage for all 5-6-year-olds. Glad I wasn't the only idiot. I always get hurt in stupid ways, but the ones that come to mind are, went for a jog, very light jog, more like a fast walk, and fractured my foot. Didn't fall or land wrong or anything, my foot just started swelling and was super painful. An X-ray later showed that I had a cracked bone. Another time I bent over next to a bush and got a stick straight into my eye, like, up into my eye socket. Didn't do damage except for a scratch, but it freaked me out so much that I passed out. It hurt a bit and I just limped around as he did his business. When I got back inside, I decided to take my sock off because it was uncomfortably hurting and I see there is a good amount of blood that has seeped through the sock. I pull it off and see that I actually have a pretty big gash across the back of my ankle. A shitty screen door fucked me up, all because of bad timing. Here is a picture of the gash the next day. Don't underestimate screen doors, they can hurt you. When I was 15, I was getting onto a bus to national qualifiers for debate when I slipped on some ice and cut my knee. I refused to go to the hospital. I was one of the favorites to go to nationals. I patched myself up with the bus first aid kit. I was in a ton of pain, but I was a stupid teenager. Finally went to the doctor 3 days later. When I got home, I had torn my meniscus and had a raging infection with signs of gangrene. I had more than a year of physical therapy and couldn't afford the repair surgery, so I'm still in pain to this day. I'm 30 now. The real kicker, I didn't qualify because a judge marked me down for the bloodied leg. I was wearing skirt suits all weekend and I couldn't get the bleeding to stop. There are so many that it becomes more sad than anything when you sit and think about it. The most recent one happened a few weeks ago when I was trying to do the unthinkable, multitask. I grabbed a knife out of the drawer and held it blade down like one is supposed to, but then I needed something from the bottom drawer and totally forgot about the knife as I bent down, accidentally stabbing myself in the thigh with said knife. Wasn't anything a band-aid couldn't fix, luckily. On a walk in high school, a sprinkler sprayed only my left leg. I didn't like the feeling of just half of me being damp, so I walked toward the sprinkler to try to get my right leg wet too. Somehow in this process, I tripped, broke my foot, and lost my solo in my ballet recital that weekend. The bright side is that the cast I got for this injury is what sparked a conversation with my now husband, so I guess it all worked out. Smile. After I showered, I sliced my index finger to the bone, changing the head of an electric toothbrush. My hands were pruned up and the plastic seam slid along a groove of my knuckle. Everyone acts like I should have just manned up, but I couldn't get it to stop bleeding and close up. The doctor was excited to fix it and was happy I came in. Another time I crashed my bike and fell on top of the handlebars. I had a giant hematoma about 3 inches above my man parts, and the next day I knew something was really wrong. I went to the ER and they checked me out. At some point the doc had to check it out and I dropped my pants and showed him my balls. The bruising was so bad it had made my sack dark blue with blood. I'm not sure if it was that or me shoving my balls out at him that shocked him the most. It worked out, balls fully functioned, reproduced, and hematoma took very long to go away. In 5th grade I gave my friend a piggyback ride. The wood chips were wet on the playground and I lost my footing and fell. I was laying on the ground and couldn't get up, and as the teacher started to come over my friend was freaking out telling me to get up so we wouldn't get yelled at. I couldn't move though. Luckily it was the gym teacher who came over and immediately recognized I had dislocated my hip. It was surprisingly not painful at the time and I had to be taken to the hospital. They knocked me out and dealt with my leg. It had popped out, then back and 90 degrees off, so my knee was pointing at my other leg. I was told several times that I was the youngest person they had seen dislocate their hip by like 40 years. Also found out later that my whole class saw me get loaded into the ambulance as it had windows toward the front of the school and my teacher had to spend a bit of time convincing them I hadn't died. Haha, my dad actually had to go to the classroom and explain because they had a hard time convincing my classmates. So this was a few years ago, but my wife and I were about to enjoy some late-night festivities to celebrate my birthday while camping in an RV. As she is getting into position on top, she drills the back of her head on the slide-out ceiling and immediately passes out. I have to quickly catch her limp body and begin to roll us over to check her out, but she wakes up laughing hysterically and is embarrassed. So after a couple of minutes of her non-stop laughter, I tell her that she needs to get dressed so we can get this concussion checked out. My wife is usually pretty serious and doesn't laugh too much. She refuses, turns her laugh down to just a giggle and says that she wants to try again with the fun times. What? No, I insist that she go to the hospital and I pick up her clothes to help her start getting dressed and she takes off running and laughing like crazy again. I chase her down, but she refuses and resists getting dressed while saying that she doesn't want to ruin the moment. So I try to calmly explain that the moment passed out when she did and that now I'm just really worried about her. Anyway, after much debate and some Google searches, we finally come to an agreement that we'll sit together for the next 4 hours to see how she recovers from the concussion. She was ultimately fine. But now when she's in a bad mood I make a joke that she could just cheer herself up with a quick concussion, which always makes her laugh. TL Dr. Wife knocked herself out while trying to have birthday fun times and couldn't stop laughing. It was the only concussion she's ever had. I woke up, looked at the clock, had time before the alarm would go off, and went back to sleep. Woke up again, looked at the clock, felt a pop and heard a sound in my neck. Torticollis. I had to call my dad to come to the college, help me down 3 flights of stairs, and take me to the ER. Ruined my whole 2-week Christmas break. This wasn't me, but I was playing basketball with some friends one day and the topic of Derrick Rose's ACL tear came up. Friend of mine was confused how he could have gotten hurt on that play, so he tried to mimic exactly what Rose did to see if he could feel any pressure in his knee. He tore his meniscus. Severed 3 tendons in my left hand while slicing a bagel. Basic tendon repair went over well, but my middle finger got infected. They had to put the tendon from my leg into my hand. 3 surgeries over a fucking bagel. Holy shit, this blew up. Everyone keeps asking me if I ate the bloody bagel. No, I didn't. Thanks for the awards. I had lost about 30 pounds, and my belt was getting too big. Most people would say, oh, time to buy a new belt. The craftier of us might say time to get out my leather punch. I say time to dig a hole in the belt with my folding pocket knife. It folded in on itself while I was digging a new hole in the leather and cut my thumb to the bone, and had to go to urgent care to get it stitched up. My wife bought me a leather punching tool for Christmas that year. Edit, in response to absolutely no demand. The injury, https://imgur.com/a/ab2hike Storie. It's a bad picture. I was using my left hand for some reason. If you look close, you can see where it cut through my nail. Also, to all the people asking why didn't you use a nail/drill/whatever, if I was smart, I wouldn't have been posting in this thread. I had a friend's older brother decide to chase us around the outside of the house with a BB gun, shooting at us. He missed every shot but one, to the top back of my head. It hurt a bit at first, but mostly it bled like crazy. Once the bleeding stopped, I didn't think much about it until several days later when I was laying in bed and folded my hands under my head and felt a hard little bump. The BB had gone up under the skin, and this was the first time anyone had felt around up there. I just had a little wound that would have healed on its own from the BB itself. But after having it cut out, I got 6 stitches and my hair has never laid right in that spot since.